Oh, we are so back, baby. That's right. We're coming at you back in 4K after the hot fix this week. It fixed my stuttering issue, and so finally I can bring you guys the quality that you're used to on this channel. That's sweet 4K. I don't know how many of you are actually going to notice a difference, but I notice a difference, and that matters to me. Anyway, this is a replay from Vermin League. We've got... let's see, it's John FB here playing as the Wood Elves versus, let me just make sure I get this right, Pizu, or Pitsu, I'm not sure. RTK clan member playing as the Dark Elves, and we've got the Lord Durthu leading the way, and already these Wildwood Rangers and Dryads in the vanguard looking to clash. We've got some Wild Riders here up front, so nice and aggressive from the Wood Elves looking to rush down Dark Elves here. Very interesting, kind of the flip of the missile defense versus rush dynamic. Normally you might think in your mind like Glade Rider or Glade Guard spam, but in fact it's Dark Shard spam. Dark Shards with shields, actually, I've kind of been a little bit low on in Warhammer 2, definitely lower than I should have been. The change from large to ultra unit sizes from Game 2 to Game 3 actually make Dark Shards a lot better of a proposition versus repeater crossbows. Previously the difference was relatively negligible. These days, the difference is quite noticeable. The Dark Shards do have definitely just better damage overall. And they also have silver shields, which makes them trade pretty well in a ranged combat once they get into range. They do have a very short 125 range. But, yeah, we've got 5 Dark Shards, front line of some Bleak Swords, Doomfire Warlocks, looks like supporting, and other light cavalry, Dark Riders as well, a couple Cold One Knights. So let's get things rolling as we get this massive wide engagement here. Cavalry on the flanks, infantry in the center. It's like a textbook Total War battle here as the Wood Elves push through. The Wildwood Rangers is definitely an interesting choice. Not sure if he was expecting a particular armored infantry here, but I would imagine against the Dark Elves, you just want more volume of DPS rather than going for explicitly armor piercing, but maybe there's something I'm missing here. The Cold One Knights do get pretty much destroyed out on the flanks here. We've got Flock of Doom from Durthu, Race of the Frozen Heart, and the Wild Rider is able to pretty much just overpower there. The Dark Shards, though, cutting up the Glade Riders as they charge through the center. You can see them turning to shoot. Threats that develop. Great missile defense play here. And yeah, the Wild Riders, Wildwood Rangers definitely taking some damage, but continuing to pressure Wild Riders and the Glade Riders as well. Plenty of mobility, but the Dark Elves managed to win out on their own right flank. Need Warlocks and Cold One Knights turning the corner here and looking to drop some rear charges perhaps, but it's already collapsing into sort of a second wave fight already. Durthu is going to be holding the flank here. Cold One Knights looking to get some armor piercing against him. Does the Wood Elves have any healing? It does not look like they do, so Durthu's going to have to be a little bit careful not to take too much damage. But against these Cold One Knights, he does have some Dryads in a position to support against Doomfires, kind of screen a little bit here, and he's not like getting very well surrounded by them. We do have, looks like, some Wild Riders kind of tangling things up here as well. So, yeah, it's not a completely unsupported fight. Looks like Glade Riders landing on a nice envelopment there as well. So, Durthu should have plenty of support. Survive that. Race the Frozen Heart. Looks like getting the Melkos Mystifying Miasma as they continue to run around and do some nice DPS to any of these units. Yeah, the Wild Riders and the Dryads. This is one of the reasons why historically you often saw repeater crossbows over the Dark Shards, as mentioned in the beginning. The damage difference was negligible, and the repeater crossbows at least could reposition. And although in a situation like this, they'd probably still be getting rushed down by Wild Riders and Glade Riders, they would be slightly more escapable, survivable, I guess, against those fast cavalry rush units, and just in general. But these days, as mentioned, for all the other reasons, the Dark Shards are a pretty decent pick. Here, they do all get rushed down. But nonetheless, still Murderous Prowess active. Still anyone's game. And the Cold One Knights, rather, going to try and close in with these Doomfire Warlocks. Finish off the last of the Wood Elves' mobility, perhaps, here. Big pitched cavalry engagement up on the high ground. Race the Frozen Heart being involved here as a great benefit for the Wood Elves, though. Definitely having that Frostbite here, and you can see the Wood Elves actually able to just win the fight in combat. Yeah, very narrow win there, but Durthu also continuing to grind out with some infantry. The Sorceress of Shadow is also still alive here. Melkoth Mystifying Miasma and Enfeebling Foe. We've got some relatively healthy Bleak Swords here. This Dark Shard's very critical. Keep safe in order to have something that can deal damage to Durthu. Right now, there's not a lot that can. But, yeah, they're just going to pull up in range and start shooting at whatever they can shoot, whatever's most threatening to them, like either this Wild Rider or this Glade Rider Spear here. You can see the Cold One Knight in a very pitched kind of last stand, finishing off this last of the Wild Riders there. But the Race of the Frozen Heart also quite fast. Again, with that Frostbite, they can certainly get in and slow those Dark Shards down. But instead, looks like they engage, try and pin that Supreme Sorceress. Let's see. We do have more Glade Riders kind of threatening here. Look like they could wheel up and around, run down those Dark Shards. I mean, yeah, at this point, the loss of the Dark Shards is going to be probably a death knell for Dark Elves. But let's see. Certainly anyone's game still. Durthu, no doubt, running a little bit low on Winds of Magic. Probably doesn't have too many more Flocks of Doom left, but looks like, yeah, it might try and get that Supreme Sorceress if you can get the opportunity to, but definitely should, yep, just push these Dark Riders up and through. The Dark Riders actually have, like, Wood Elven horses. Although, no, those are Glade Riders. What am I doing? Anyway, the Glade Riders. Glade Riders, Dark Riders, basically the same unit, actually. But, yeah, Supreme Sorceress takes a womp there from Durthu. Definitely wants to get out into space. Melkoth Mystifying Miasma, trying to take out these Glade Riders as they run down the Dark Shards that remain. Doesn't help, actually, that the Dark Elves have kind of a black banner here. It makes their Glade Riders look a little more Dark Elfy. But anyway, Durthu running through, and there's a lot of Bleak Swords left. Bleak Swords aren't going to do too much, but there are a handful more Dark Shards out here as well. One Flock of Doom, that should finish off this Dark Shard. And Durthu running into combat, going to try and finish off this other one here. So, yeah, the Dark Elves have slightly advantage on the balance of power right now, just due to the volume of units left. And I guess these Dark Shards could definitely get in. We've got 25 models here, 30 models here, so what, 55 models total. Looking like it's dangerous for Durthu for sure. This unit's going to get set and maybe fire off a handful of bolts before they get slapped by that giant amber sword. Oof. Durthu grabs one with his foot, does that brutal kill stomp animation. As the Cold One Knights move in. Nice big blob for a beautiful Flock of Dooms to finish off a bunch of units here. Rock that Terror route. And yeah, you can see the Supreme Sorceress not wanting any of that smoke. It's going to move away here, but the Dark Shards, the leadership is so low. Durthu really just has to get close with himself or anything else, and they probably will rout. So let's fast forward a little bit as the Dark Shards close in. You can see them peppering a few armor-piercing bolts. We do see the Enfeebling Foe on Durthu, but the Wildwood Ranger closing from the other side. Just the leadership threat is enough to actually break, well, and a nice Flock of Doom as well. Break those final Dark Shards. And now it's up to the Supreme Sorceress to try and cycle charge with Enfeebling Foe if she has it available. And just let these sad swords fight it out with Durthu. Yeah, you can see her cycle charging, getting maybe an attack animation or two. Also has got to be careful not to be eating too much damage either. Yeah, another Flock of Doom left. Somehow Durthu still with that Winds of Magic. Flock of Doom so efficient. Gonna terrify away what's left. And yeah, there's definitely no chance. Yeah, womp, womp, and another Flock of Doom, and that should just about tie it up there. Very, very close at the end of the day. Comes down to Durthu with surprisingly low amount of HP. Like, I really didn't think the Supreme Sorceress was going to be able to cycle charge him out, but it actually was pretty close at the end of the day. It maybe could have happened, to be honest. The dice rolls had played out slightly differently, but Durthu's such a boss monster. Definitely, you know, I feel like appropriate to his lore and character. He is very powerful in this game, and definitely leads his force to victory here. Yeah, the Wild Riders also get some nice value in mobility, as do the Glade Riders as well. Love to see Wraiths of Frozen Heart on the field. Get some nice value. The Dark Elf side, you'd expect kind of a nice combined arms value spread here, and we do largely see that. Most units are going to pay for themselves or come close, which is great for a nice combined arms faction like the Dark Elves. It's really what you often need to be successful. Just wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. Ultimately, had he been able to just preserve a little bit of HP on those Dark Shards, probably would have been able to take home the win there against Durthu in the late game. But very, very fun game. Big thanks for sending that one in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.